Hello everyone. I've thought about this topic for about a week now, and I thought that Greenland as itself, as a country and a territory, is quite an interesting topic. And what's been going on now with Donald Trump and the Danish government and the government in Greenland, if you can call it that, is a fascinating thing. And it's not an easy solution because for defence purposes, the USA obviously needs to be involved in Greenland. And the same goes for Canada, and the Russians are getting involved, and obviously the European Union. But really, is there a way that everyone can have their cake and eat it, as it were? And I think there is. I think there's a very important solution that really no one has actually talked about, and I find that fascinating, having read about 10 articles on this particular topic. But basically, this is Greenland. Greenland is just an island of ice and nothingness and mountains, and there's no trees, there's no vegetation, but there are a hell of a lot of resources underneath Greenland and around Greenland, whether that's oil or gas or uranium or aluminium or various other rare earth metals. And obviously it affects how shipping potentially could work its way around the United States of America, North America, however you want to put that. So it came to me almost instantaneously when this came up. I remember when Donald Trump first talked about this, I believe it was 2017 or early 2016, something like that. And I didn't really think of it back then, but when it came up again, I thought to myself, why don't we do a partial acquisition of Greenland? And there's definitely opportunities for both parties here, but essentially this is Greenland. It is an absolutely beautiful place. It's untouched. People have not really bothered to really go into this place and explore it because most of the time it's minus 25 degrees Celsius, there's snow and ice everywhere, there's no infrastructure, and there's things all around you that could kill you. But in certain parts it is very, very nice. And it's a real shame that this land has not been further developed and we've not moved several 100,000 people to Greenland and really kind of taken advantage of this beautiful place. So here's Greenland, here's Canada, here's the USA, Iceland, and then we have a little bit of Russia there. So as you can see, it looks very, very big. It's not actually that big. Greenland, slightly smaller than Argentina, I believe. It's either slightly smaller or slightly bigger. It's very, very similar in size. It's a lot smaller than India. It's a lot smaller than the USA. It's a lot smaller than Canada. It's got a very strategic position. And the reason it's a strategic position is that billions and billions of dollars of freight is moved through the Panama Canal and on to the west coast of the USA, and vice versa. It's moved from China and it goes all the way and it comes up here. So there are promising signs that there is a way of doing this whereby you can move freight, potentially if you're coming from this direction, across here and then back round here. So that would represent a significant reduction in the distance between, say, Europe or Africa and the west coast of the USA, and potentially the west coast of Canada as well, and maybe Mexico. To do that, you need icebreakers. You have to run icebreakers almost every other day at the moment to make that work, and you have a period of time which is about 8 to 10 months where basically this bit here is totally impassable. It's totally clogged up and you can't do anything. But you have a period of time Now, where you have theoretically more than 2 to 3 months to get around there, and that's only going to increase over time. But they think that potentially that could be an opportunity for 6 months. So you'll have 6 months to make that kind of journey, for example. But to do that, you definitely need icebreakers, and to do that, you need to access here. And Canada is really sounding the alarm for this area here. That they want to control that area, and America has no influence there, because if the Canadians want to do that, they can do that. They can close that, they can open that, and they can charge you whatever they want. But if they had control of this area here, then they would have some say on that, and presumably they would then be able to force the Canadians into some kind of concession. As you can see, most of Greenland, or people in Greenland, live along the coast. The middle part of Greenland, sort of here, absolutely nothing. Less than 0.01% of the population live in that area there. It's absolutely desolate. Here's a good map showing you all the different parties that are involved in this. So we've got Alaska here, we've got Russia, we've got Denmark, we've got Iceland up here, and then we have Greenland. And as you can see, if you want to go from here, you'd have to go through either here or potentially through here, which would be even more difficult. So whoever controls that coastal area and the shipping lanes that run along the coast here is very, very powerful. And you can project that power into Europe, into Russia, and into Canada as well. So strategically, it is immensely important. And Donald Trump has been told this probably by numerous people. So the question is, how do you fix this problem? Because Denmark do not want to sell Greenland. Now, theoretically, they could be forced to sell Greenland, but Greenland is a very, very big island, and to acquire it, you'd be talking trillions, maybe 2 trillion, because it's just such a big area, and there are massive resources under it. And Denmark kind of wants to be involved in this kind of shipping, this growing shipping industry, potentially having control of ships that move up in this area through Baffin Bay. So they don't want to 100% give that up. But what if they could partially give that up and get a large sack of money on the side? Here's our Northwest Passage. Just to explain this bit here, at its narrowest point is about 18 miles. Most of it is well above 40 miles wide. Why it's pushing you through here, I think it's because you would probably need to run as many icebreakers down that route, but you could go up there as well. But it's very wide. It's well above 30-40 miles wide in most places, and ships would easily be able to transit down there if you have run multiple icebreakers throughout the course of the week. So come 2040, this is going to be a big area of business. There's ports opening in Alaska and places like that where they're going to be restocking a lot of these container ships with fuel, and potentially in the very, very long term, this could be much more profitable than even the Panama Canal, because it shortens the route by about 2,000 kilometers. So if you want to control that, you want to control essentially this area here. That is the most important part of Greenland for projecting influence into Baffin Bay and into Canada, and preventing the Russians from coming through this area. Because if the Canadians control this bit here, and then the Greenlanders control that bit there, there's no way that you'd be able to get through. In fact, the Canadians will control that there. But so this is strategically very, very important. It's a massively growing area. The amount of ships coming through this area theoretically could increase by about 8,000 to 9,000% over the next 10 years, and then maybe triple that again. So this is big business. This is a massive amounts of opportunity for moving trade and moving it fast. Not all year round, but partially. What is the solution? So, I think a partial acquisition of Greenland. So, the obvious area for acquisition would be kind of the northwest and north of the territory, ideally within sort of 60 to 70 miles of the coast. The rest of this can be left to Greenland or Denmark or whoever wants it. I'm suggesting that at some point Greenland will break away from Denmark, just based on what people are saying there, but we can't assume anything. There's kind of two options. Obviously, the capital city of Greenland is down here, so we don't want to get involved in that there. But if we could have an area here where there's another city and they're next to each other, that would be excellent. But making the option that this area is sold here. So another option would be this. It's not quite as useful because you have less coastline. Now, inland, you might have massive reserves of resources, but until it's explored, it's hard to say. That would open the opportunity for maybe in the future where the USA says, hey, Greenland, can we acquire another, 1 million acres, please, or 2 million acres? And they would say, yeah, here you go. You can have a little bit here, or, you want 5 million acres, maybe you want that bit there. And that would be fine, and they'd be open to doing that, but it'd be costly. But the most important area for the Northwest Passage is that bit there, because that is the coastline that you want to own, because that gives you then control of all the seas within 100 miles, maybe 200 miles of that area, and you have claims over that, and you can control who goes into those areas, and that would prevent the Russians and the Chinese from doing that. Now, obviously, you don't want the Chinese setting up naval bases in and around here, but it would be very difficult to do that, and it wouldn't be in China's long-term financial interest to keep those things running. So this seems like the obvious answer to me. So the USA takes this area up here, or this area here. I personally prefer this layout here. This is much better for achieving the strategic goals of the US government. You want as much coastline as possible, because then that gives you more control over the seas. And then Greenland or Denmark has control of these areas. And there you go. So Greenland / Denmark get a big pile of cash, plus they've got a lot of the land that they had before. They still have 85% of the land, plus all those resources that are in there. You get a new partner to the north who offers you military protection, offers you additional investment, because you're going to get people coming across into Greenland and doing things, and potentially going down the coast here, and they'll be looking at things and developing things, and maybe the population will grow, and that'll bring in supplies, which will reduce the costs of goods, because the cost of goods in Greenland are very, very expensive. You want to buy some bananas, you're talking like $15-20 just for a small bag of bananas. It's it's absolutely shocking. But yeah, it has all the benefits and all the drawbacks of selling the entire settlement. Let me just kind of explain the deal, as it were. So Denmark will agree to sell 15% of Greenland to the USA. So for 15%, that would be this layout here. That's what I worked out to do on Google Maps. I'll explain. So agrees to sell 50% of Greenland to the USA. There'll probably have to be some kind of referendum on that as well in Greenland, which hopefully they will agree to. Maybe they are financially incentivized to do so. They get a percentage of the money. So USA agrees to pay Denmark $685 billion over a 10-year period. So $68.5 billion every year for 10 years. Maybe 2 to 3% of that goes to the people of Greenland as compensation for them in a way. USA also agrees to invest 115 billion into Greenland's infrastructure, roads, airports, seaports, that kind of thing. So the Greenland will do very, very well out of this. And Denmark obviously have a big pile of cash, which it can then invest into Greenland and maybe into Denmark itself and other areas. And they've still got 85% of the territory. Citizens in those areas automatically granted dual citizenship. So essentially, if you were in a parcel of land that was then converted to the USA, you would keep your Danish passport, your Greenland, ID card, and also USA citizenship would be immediately granted to yourself. You would have the option of accepting that or declining that. That's entirely up to yourself, but everyone will be automatically granted citizenship, no matter who they are, what they've done. That's the only way it can be done, really. So everyone benefits. Denmark benefits. The citizens benefit. Greenland benefits. USA benefits. It's got security over its waterways, and its foreign adversaries cannot then get into those areas, and would be essentially shuttered out of that particular area. This new territory, as I've just shown you, is 125,000 square miles. That is a big parcel of land. Now, granted, a lot of that is useless, and there won't be much there, but there will be places where you've got aluminium, you've got uranium, you've got oil and gas, you've got all sorts of other things, rare earth elements. So you'll get that back within a 20-year period quite easily. So very, very much. And there's the opportunity to potentially buy more land in the long term, but in much smaller kind of segments, as it were. Maybe 1,000 square miles here, 1,000 square miles there, in strategic areas where the USA knows there are resources. And then again, it would work on this being the fixed value. If you do 685 divided by 125,000, then you work that out per 1,000 square miles, and it will keep that the same. So I'm not sure about this now. So territory to become 51st state, for that to happen, I think that the USA would have to move in another 60 to 70,000 people into this particular area. Otherwise, it would be too difficult to kind of stop it swinging. People would be able to go in there and influence elections with large, packages of money. So you need there to be at least 120,000 people in Greenland, or in the new state of Greenland, North Greenland, whatever they want to call it, Trumpland, for that to become the 50th state. Obviously, if Puerto Rico did become the 51st state, then it would become the 52nd state almost immediately, because then that would even it out. I'm not sure the Democrats would agree with that, but hey, I also think as part of this deal, the USA should tell Denmark that Greenland needs to hold an independence referendum in 2032. If that was successful, then obviously the USA would have tremendous pulling power over the Greenland government, and that essentially would give them control of the rest of the area without having to take it over, and would make it much easier to acquire further areas of territory as well. But I'd like to see Greenland remain as its own independent country. If that meant it was much smaller than what it is now, then so be it. But no one's done anything with Greenland for a very, very long time. It's got humongous potential, and Denmark are not going to do anything with it. The people of Greenland don't have the resources to develop this area, and the Russians and the Chinese are starting to get involved and to move in these areas, and for security, they need to stop this. So a partial acquisition would work quite well for everyone, and there's no drawbacks to this. It doesn't need to be any military action. There doesn't need to be any influencing government, bribing people, that kind of thing. But hopefully it does happen. But we'll see. I'd imagine that no one suggested this to Trump yet, but Who knows? That's what needs to happen. Partial acquisition, 15%, 125,000 square miles. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Put your comments below. Tell me if you think this is a great idea or an absolutely horrifically bad idea. That's absolutely fine. But I think the valuation that I've given there and the amount of land that I'm suggesting is very reasonable and is not excessive, and everyone benefits from the deal. I can't see any drawbacks to it at all. Everyone benefits, from the citizens to the countries to the entire world. Okay, take care now. Goodbye.